So today we're talking about the new Apple Pencil. The biggest thing for me that I just kind of want to cover quickly, though I'm sure you're all aware of it, is the new way the Apple Pencil works with the iPad. I actually talked about this in my very first Apple Pencil for non-artists video. I talked about how I'd like to see it connect magnetically, actually, to the iPad, and then I immediately dismissed it. So it's kind of funny that it's actually come full circle, that the new Apple Pencil actually does connect magnetically. It just sits right on top of the iPad. You get a very satisfying clicking sound. This is also how it charges, too. It uses inductive charging, which I'm really excited about. Because with my last Apple Pencil, especially later on in its life, as the battery started to wear out a lot more, it was always dead when I needed it. So I'd sit down to edit a podcast and it'd be dead. I'd have to plug it in on the side, wait a couple of minutes. Okay, then I could use it. And then it was getting so bad that I wasn't able to get through a full hour and a half edit of a podcast without having to stop again and charge it. Originally it was rated for pretty much all day. As the battery drained more and more, as that battery got older and older, it definitely did not last all day. But this one's been great for me so far. A lot of people have asked me, am I concerned about the battery getting worse over time, especially with it being, connecting and always charging. As lithium batteries charge, they get worse and worse. And yeah, that's absolutely 100% a concern. I'm not too worried about it in this case. We'll see, mostly because it's always sitting up on top, so it will always be charged, but the battery life will get worse over time. So I don't know. We'll see. I may end up having to, replace this one in a year because it doesn't last very long. The other thing that's new that I'm really excited about is the button gesture, the taptic, whatever you want to call it. There's so many different things that it's being called. But if you just double tap right here, it'll trigger something. In art apps and stuff, by default, it'll trigger between the current brush or tool that you're using to the eraser or delete tool. There's a few other things you can change in settings. You can also just turn it off if you find yourself accidentally triggering that a bunch. For me, that's not really what I'm interested in that much. I'm not an artist. I can't draw a stick figure to save my life. I'm a really bad artist. Hence why I'm making this video, because I think a lot of people could actually benefit from the Apple Pencil, even if you don't draw all the time. I think there's a lot of things you could do with it. For me, I think the biggest thing is I edit video on my iPad, and I use the Apple Pencil as a mouse. My Apple Pencil basically is always in my right hand. I'm moving through the timeline, moving clips around, adding effects, color correcting, adjusting audio, doing all sorts of crazy things with the Apple Pencil. I like to keep one hand with my Apple Pencil, the other hand on my keyboard. That way I'm constantly running keyboard shortcuts and I'm constantly using my Apple Pencil. Just like how I would if I was editing on a Mac, I'd have one hand on my keyboard, one hand on my mouse, just flying through shortcuts, just editing away. This is exactly the same thing for any editor. Same goes with podcasts. I use Ferrite to edit podcast videos, and they already put out their update to support the new Apple Pencil. No, it's not a drawing app, so you can't double tap this right here and cycle between brushes and the delete button. But what you can do is you can go into the app and program it to do anything you want. You can set it to a custom option, go through all of the options, and set it to do anything you want. Now, I'm boring. I just set it to play pause because this, really that's what I need. If I have play pause, then I can keep my hand on the Command T to cut, Command Delete to delete. So that works out really well. The other thing you can do with it is gestures on the Apple Pencil, but this isn't exactly new. You can highlight to delete stuff. You can swipe down to make a cut. So I could do my whole edit process of a podcast just using the Apple Pencil. I actually wouldn't even need a keyboard now because I could play pause from here, swipe down to trim, select a clip, highlight the clip, and delete it. So I could literally do my whole podcast editing just from this guy. That's actually kind of cool to think about. The other thing that I've been doing, and I made a video about this, is with Siri shortcuts, I made a journaling shortcut, and I'll make sure I link that below. But basically every day I get a push notification reminding me just to kind of write down what some of my goals are for the day, whether it's to make a video or finish off a video or write up some ideas for new videos or write out some ideas for the podcast or whatever. I like to kind of come up and think of some stuff. It's a good way to kind of get my ideas out on a piece of paper not really a piece of paper, onto my iPad, handwriting stuff using the Apple Pencil. And the Apple Pencil really is my mouse. It's how I navigate the UI. Just sitting down, when I'm reading Twitter, I'll swipe down using the Apple Pencil. I'll move around items. I'll do drag and drop or whatever with the Apple Pencil. It's really just, it's convenient to always have ready to go. I haven't been this excited for the Apple Pencil since it originally came out. It was just one of those things after a while, because there wasn't a place for it all the time, because it wasn't always charged. It was one of those things that became more cumbersome than actually useful. But I think Apple addressed this in all the right ways, that it's actually going to be more useful. Latency wise, for those that don't know, latency is basically when you draw something on the screen, how far the line that you're drawing is behind it. I actually don't notice any latency. Now, I don't have the best eyes. I'm sure some of you guys out there notice it. If you draw really quickly in circles or something like that, you might get it confused. But for the most part, when I'm just writing away, I don't see any latency whatsoever. It just feels like I'm using a pencil on a piece of paper. Speaking of piece of paper, I did a video a while ago. A company called Paper Lake, they sent me basically it's a screen protector, but it makes your iPad feel like a piece of paper when you're writing on it. It's really cool. I like it. I don't know if they have, I got to double check, but I don't think they have anything to support the new iPads just yet. Hopefully that's coming. I'm really I think I'd probably order another one of those for this iPad because of how much more I'm using the Apple Pencil. It basically, when you're writing on it, it makes it feel like you're writing on a piece of paper. It kind of gives that feedback. So it's kind of interesting. They did send me that one, so, it's not really an ad, but they did send me the one that I did the video about, and I'll make sure that video is in the link description below. But I'm a true believer in the Apple Pencil is the mouse for the iPad. It's how you should navigate the UI. If you're somebody like me with RSI issues, repetitive strain, basically it means I get pains in my hands, my wrists, things like that, just because I've been typing for so long. I used mices that weren't ergonomic and things like that. I think the iPad's really good for that because it allows me to switch up the way I'm doing things. It allows me to use my Apple Pencil, my fingers to touch the screen, keyboard shortcuts to move around. I'm constantly moving my hands and stuff like that. They're not getting stuck in one position. So I think that's really important for that. So if you have RSI issues, maybe look into this as well. Those are just kind of my thoughts on this Apple Pencil. I think it's really good for anyone, even if you're not an artist. I really like it, and I can't draw to save my life. If you are an artist, I guess you can get the Apple Pencil, if you're into that sort of thing. I'm kidding. But really, I think the Apple Pencil is good for any iPad Pro user, or the older iPad as well that supports the Apple Pencil. So I would definitely recommend getting it. I would recommend picking it up. I know it's not the cheapest thing on the planet, but it's a pretty great device, especially what you can use it for.